Peace be to you. This is Omar Abdul Malik, physician assistant and health educator. So I thought today I'm doing another walking video. Just finished a semi-run. Still trying to recover from the rock and roll marathon. But I thought I wanted to speak about getting rejected from medical school. I think that was my last video. So, oh yeah, and it was what to do if you don't get in medical. I'll say PA school. I want to talk about my time on the admission committee of a couple of PA programs and the students that I did not recommend for acceptance. Now, on some, sorry about my bad camera work here, on some PA admissions forms, when those of you all who are applying to PA school come in and we do the interview process, there's a card that we have, or a form. Sometimes it'll say different things on that form, but one of the things that it may say is it'll give you categories. So the categories will say, it'll ask, do you recommend this person for admission into this program? So we may have categories. It'll say recommend, it'll say highly, it'll go from highly recommend, recommend with reservations, to do not recommend. And it's very difficult for those of us who sit on admissions committee to decide who we're going to recommend and who we're not going to recommend, because everybody, when they get to the admissions, when they get to the level of interviewing, everybody is a rock star. So you're almost, for the most part, I would say you've got 99% rock stars. So it's deciding who's going to be less of a rock star than the other person. So I'll give you an example. There's one school, I think it's GW, and you can see this on the internet. Their school, I think they had something like 1,600 applicants. So 1,600 applicants. They interviewed 275, I think it was, for 65 spots. And that's a large class, I'll tell you, just from my teaching experience. That's a relatively large class. So how would you determine, out of that 275 people who you interview, who are almost all of them are rock stars academically? They've done community service. They've done things in the allied health field. They've got degrees or certifications or licenses. They've established themselves in other fields. How do you determine, when everybody's a rock star, who you're not going to accept? It's not easy. But you don't want to be that one who somebody like me checks, says, I do not recommend this person, or I recommend them for admission, but it's with reservations. If you find somebody better, choose them. So there are 4 people who stand out, and I think I interviewed, maybe over the 4 years that I was doing it, I may have interviewed as many as, I want to say about 300 people, maybe, something like that. There were 4 that I was like, okay, this person is just not ready for PA school. One person, well, I'll go with the worst student. I don't want to say worse, I'll say most challenging. This particular student, prospect, I'll say pre-PA student. Well, let me set up the scenario for you. When we have to interview you guys, you're assigned a room, and we may be waiting in that room for you, or we have to go. Those of us that are doing the interviewing, we have to go into that room where you are. So in this case, I was actually going to the rooms where the students were assigned. So I get to this room, and this young lady, this was about 15 years ago, this young lady had her head on the desk like she was sleeping. And I knock on the door and said, excuse me, are you so-and-so? I'm here to interview somebody for a PA, for the PA school. She lifts her head up and like, oh yeah, runs her fingers through her hair. Yeah, you're here for you're supposed to interview me. Okay. She had on faded jeans, a tight sweater, and a scarf like something you'd wear to go out to the park in. Everybody else had their hair done. They had, you know, pinstripe suits on and things. And, you know, she didn't look like somebody who had prepared, you know, just in terms of how you would look on an interview at one of the top schools in the country. And then as she's running her fingers through her hair, she yawns like and stretches like and asks me, get this, oh yeah, before we get started, how long is this going to take? Because, you know, I got something to do. And I'm looking at her like, are you serious? Have you lost your mind? And I wanted to say to her, like, well, it's going to take 1 second, because that's how long it's going to take me to check off this little box that says do not recommend. But I wanted to give her a chance. So I was asking her questions. Why do you want to be a PA? What interests you in the field? Do you understand the difference between a PA, a nurse practitioner, a doctor? When did you first learn about the PA field? You know, the usual questions that we ask. You know, she kind of hummed and hawed and was like, oh, yeah, whatever. This, I guess the younger generation Xers or the Generation Z or whatever came with. Whatever, you know, whatever. I was like, do you understand that you're interviewing for a PA position, a position in the PA school, at one of the premier PA schools in the country? So anyway, I didn't recommend this student. And I went back, we talk about you guys also. We go back and we discuss what our interviews were like with the prospective students. I said, did you interview this person? The program director shakes his head and says, yeah, I interviewed. She's not getting in here. And I remember this from 15 years ago when I did this interview as one of the worst prospects I ever interviewed. You don't want to be remembered like that. It's terrible. Try to look your best. Go to the thrift store and get a suit. You know, comb your hair, something. Present like you really want the position. Because this is going to reflect, this is how you're going to go out and get jobs. So anyway, the second person was somebody who really did not speak English very well. I won't tell you what country he was from, but it was clear to me and my fellow interviewer that this guy did not have good command of English. We would ask him questions that weren't closed-ended questions. You know, what interests you in the PA profession? Why do you want to come to this school specifically? And the more intricate the questions became, the more this guy kind of, he'd do what we all do when we don't understand a language. We kind of smile and nod our heads. Yes. Yes. And I was like, okay, that's not what we asked you. So I didn't recommend him. Another student was somebody who, there was a written part, prerequisite that we had. Again, this other person did not show good command of English, which is important when you're trying to articulate yourself. Both of those two people actually got in and became, well, they got in the following year and became very good PAs, because I saw them years later. The guy who couldn't speak English very well, he saw me in the hall of the hospital where I was working. He says, do you remember me? And it wasn't because of his accent. He just didn't speak English very well. He spoke very good English. He says, yes, I understand why you guys didn't let me in, but I studied English very hard. So how's my English now? I was like, wow, man, that's a vast improvement. And he went on to become a great PA. So don't be chagrined if you don't get in. But, you know, don't be that student that doesn't get it. Oh, and the last student just didn't talk at all. She was like a little kid. When you ask kids how old they are, and they're like, okay, and they just shake their head and nod their head. Too taciturn. You have to be able to expound and express yourself as an adult, as a mature, sophisticated adult. And it takes practice. So practice your interviews, guys. Get somebody and, you know, get some 3x5 cards or something and get used to asking questions. Get your outfit together. You know, it's approaching summer. Schools are going to decide who they're going to grant interviews to. So just keep up the great work you guys are doing, you pre-PA students. I wish you guys the best of success in your positive endeavors. Please subscribe. Take care. Peace.